Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That was last night. Tonight is New Day Black and Red. Thursday night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. Love you, Mary Brockman, my bouncer-in-chief. Up in the hizzy tonight. Oh, what joy it is. You are listening to the most exceptional conservative show in the world, on the most exceptional conservative network in the world. And I got a major announcement for you tonight before we move on over and pick up the Professor Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor from undergroundprofessor.us. My wife, I did not check to see if she had the laptop. Thank you, Mary. Mary says I look cool in suspenders. Thank you so much. You know, they feel good too. They feel good. Keeps everything up, I guess. I don't know. I'm loving the groove that we're playing. Wow. What a way. Claudia, love you. Claudia, love you. Glad to have you here. I am very excited tonight because I get a chance to make this announcement before we bring the professor on. Going into, I think next week, will it? Or the week after next will be the 7th year of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Mary Brockman, my bouncer-in-chief, has been the official hostess of our program out in the chat room, and my prayer warrior for me, my wife as well, and I want to thank Deborah for all her years of support. But a major thing happened last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's the first time it's happened in the history of our program. Now you already know that the Exceptional Conservative Show is the #1 show on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Heck, it's my network, right? Yeah, okay. But I got news for you tonight. As of 1 o'clock this morning, the Exceptional Conservative Show became the #1 show on SHR Media. There you go. So we hold both belts, the heavyweight belt in both the TECN and also in SHR Media. I'm excited. I am ever thankful, and I am ever joyful. It took a while, but we're there. We're finally #1 on both networks. Next goal is to be #1 on HP Talk Radio. That's my goal. I live every day with goals in mind to take over the world. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Listen, Claudia says, love you, Ken. Love you, Mary. Love your wife, too. Thank you so much. Mrs. Biggs is just awesome. She simply is awesome. And she's hopefully resting and not listening to the show tonight. Before we get started, you know how we rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. We let our kids lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. For those who are watching via live stream, whoop, right over there is a huge flag you can pledge allegiance to. Behind me are flags for Ustream. For all those who are SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Media, or HPTalkRadio.com, or Red Nation Rising at the 2 a.m. listenership. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But put your right hand over your heart and let the children lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you know what we do at this particular hour of the night on New Day Black and Red, which is a show which gives you a constitutional as well as a spiritual viewpoint on current affairs and all things that are going on around the world. Hosted by the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones. We go after Dr. Jones. We get him into our call center here. Dr. Michael Jones. Let's see. Yeah, that's him. All right, let us contact Dr. Michael Jones. Bring him on the air tonight. Y'all like that?
Hello.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Hello.
Good evening, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor. It is a pleasure having you on the air with us tonight for New Day Black and Red.
Is it?
Yeah. It's Thursday night again.
Hear me? I'm making a lot of noise here. Yeah, I'm trying to get something. Trying to get the genie back in the box, and it's not working.
Oh. Are you making something?
Hello.
Are you making something for the beautiful young woman?
No, I just got back from going over to girlfriend's apartment to bring all the Valentine's stuff that we weren't able to do on Valentine's Day or yesterday. So I raced over there and brought them all their stuff. And the computer I got them, I put a password on it, and then it wouldn't work.
Wow.
And, I mean, it would not turn on or anything. So I had to. And get to the old DOS thing on the terminal prompt and figure it out. So it wasn't pretty.
Wow.
But, yeah. So anyway.
Well, what you?
Just a second. Go to the commercial. Say something.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a quick commercial. We're going to allow the professor to get. The professor asked for a commercial. Mary, jot this day down in history. Not only did we become the #1 show on Sackheads Radio, but the professor asked for a commercial. So whenever we go back to the professor, don't pretend like you didn't ask for one. You asked for it, sir. You asked for a commercial. And Mary, write this day down. Let it be in history. Thank you, Mary. Mary's got it. This will be in the annals of history. The professor asked for a commercial. We'll be right back right after these messages with more of the best of the most urban, most conservative, exceptionally conservative urban talk show in all of the world.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clanton. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. They told me that I needed to be humble, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I decided to be awesome instead. That's The Willie Lawson Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. here on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe. For the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to New Day Black and Red live on TECN, the Exceptional Conservative Network, home to the underground professor who just actually demanded, I mean, it was violent rage that he demanded a commercial to be played. So,
You believe it? It's sign of the end time.
It's all over, people. We're all coming to the promised land.
It's all over.
Before we go back to the professor and these non-nicotine clean hands, just want to let you see this. Never had a
Nicotine clean hands? I mean, you got nicotine on them?
non-nicotine, yeah, something like that.
You're a naughty boy. You're a wicked boy.
I have never smoked in my life. Never. That's amazing. Never smoked in my life. Not even a cigar. But I tell you.
You're just lying in front of everybody because I know that you smoke dope.
Never smoked in my life.
First year, I believe you haven't had smoked dope. Getting the end of life.
That's the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, that you're hearing with us tonight. I want you all to also know that I love my veterans, including Dr. Michael Jones. I love him. He's my best friend, even though I don't call him.
You didn't tell me we're awesome.
I was thinking it was a good time. Well, the National Association for Black Veterans Incorporated, creating a positive lifestyle for veterans. They want you to join them on the 31st consecutive celebration of African American Patriots Day, commemorating all veterans and a celebration of America, in memory of Crispus Attucks, the first American hero, at the War Memorial Building, Fayette and Gay Streets.
Wait a minute. The first black American hero.
Yeah.
The first American hero, because actually, about 15 minutes before Atticus was killed, a young boy of like 12 years old was killed in a riot.
Okay. All right.
So he actually is the second bad guy in the revolution, not the first. But that's okay. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
The ombudsman for our program tonight corrects me. Apparently in front of the War Memorial Plaza. I believe that's in Maryland. In front of City Hall. Yeah, I'll have to get more details on that one, but it's a little late. It's Saturday, the 18th. But I tell you what you could do. Call Reggie Frazier at 410-982-9974. Reggie Frazier, 410-982-9974 to find out more about the National Association for Black Veterans Incorporated and their War Memorial celebration. of African American Patriots Day, and that's on Saturday, February 18th from 11 a.m. to 12:20 p.m. So I don't know the exact address, but
I wish I could go to that. That sounds fun.
I know.
Yeah.
All the chicks would be there. But
Oh my goodness. Nothing says chicks like how to kiss.
Women Veterans United Committee Incorporated. Chief Executive Officer Joanne Fisher, Dr. Joanne Fisher. I escorted her home this evening from an event in Baltimore, and wonderful conversation. She will be on the air with us on Monday night, and we will be talking about the issues related to veterans and especially women's veterans. So you don't want to miss that. Dr. Joanne Fisher. Professor,
Yes.
tonight we certainly haven't had any communication whatsoever about what we're going to talk about tonight.
I did send you some ideas that I thought we could talk about, but I never got a response because, well, you never respond.
Oh my God!
But other than that, no. Actually, there were some ideas I was going to do for my show, but I didn't get to do it tonight because I screwed the page again.
Oh.
I've been freaking out trying to get this computer working for Megan. I'm actually on my way right now to go drop it off to her.
Oh.
I might be in time when you can go back for more commercials while I hand it to her.
Okay, not a problem. We will, but we want to talk with Megan. We want to know.
Oh, yeah?
We want to talk with Megan. We want to know what kind of friend you are, what kind of guy you are. You know.
Probably not want to talk to her tonight. I'm an idiot for putting the password on the computer. She thinks it's my fault that it's not working.
No. But you don't understand.
I got mad because I didn't think she was very grateful for me buying her computer.
So let me get this straight. She should be grateful. Okay, because I'm going to write this down in the chat roll and put it through Twitter so that everyone knows that Megan should just be grateful that the professor thought of her on the 14th of this month.
Someone buys you a computer, it's the first one you've ever had, and they put your name in it, and they, the picture of your, I call her Snowflake, so I put a Snowflake icon in there, and I named the computer Megan, and I put a little password there in there for which I, use for my, everything that she uses. It's like all my stuff, like Netflix and stuff, I've given her a password to use.
Uh-huh.
And then she's all mad at me because I put a password on the computer. And I was like, I didn't put it in where it's permanent. You go around and you change it in 30 seconds to whatever you want. But she thinks because I put the password in that I broke the computer. And, she doesn't get credit and she's mad at me.
Well, you did break the computer. You broke it, sir. You broke it, Professor.
I had to go in there and put it up the old terminal and get into the DOS commands and break the directory. And I don't want to tell you the secret. I used to do this stuff in the military, like intelligence. So I had to get in there and rip out all the security and redo it and put it back in again. And, but I couldn't do it there because everybody was mad and I was getting agitated. If you put one period or comma in the wrong place, you ruin everything. So.
Professor, you know when you hand a woman something and it's not picture perfect, you broke it. That's just.
I know. But I didn't know. I would never have given it to her. Know that it wasn't going to work because I just thought it. Charged it up, and put that stuff in, set it up so she could come around and immediately start using it, taking her up and a great job, as a boyfriend. And then she gets all mad at me, and then I didn't take that very well, I'm afraid.
Oh, so you
don't take it well at all.
See, yeah. See, Dave Milner says, yeah, that's like a rule or something. If
don't even tell her what Dave said. Dave probably said he's professionally an idiot.
No, he didn't say that. But certainly there's a rule. I mean, this is Valentine's week. It's a rule. If you didn't get, if you got 12 roses, you should have got 24. If you got her a gift.
Oh, yeah, so we're in this big fight, and I go to leave, and then she gets mad because I don't stop and give her a hug and a kiss, you know, and she calls me a child. I'm like, what's this, you know?
It's just no winning.
I don't understand it, you know, and then I get attacked for being a kid because I'm being petty. It's like, I don't understand the rules. I don't understand women, and specific women. I understand women if you wouldn't believe in the general sense.
Yeah.
You know, as in collective whole, but when you get me to the individual woman, they're just baffling.
Listen, Professor, we
I'm thinking about adopting a couple more dogs and being single again.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Listen, Professor, you're a bit muddled and distorted. So what we're going to do, I'm going to let you hang up, and I'm going to give you a phone call back. So because we want to clear sound.
What time is it right now?
It is 9:26.
Okay. How about 9:40?
Okay.
Give me time to get to the. I'm like 3 minutes from the apartment, then I can give her her thing, and then 9:40 I should be clear again.
Okay. Cool. We will give you a phone call back at 9:40.
And my headset will be charged by then too. So when I'm going on the headset, you know.
Exactly.
Background noise like you are right now.
Exactly. All right, Professor. Thank you, Professor.
So about 20 minutes of commercial. That's probably normal.
Yeah. I'm going to do about 30 minutes worth of commercials and call back to you.
That'll work.
Dr. Michael Jones, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk with you on New Day Black and Red about an issue that I think is very, very important. I don't know about everyone else. The professor is muddled distorted, so that means it's like Thursday. Okay, so I forget you, Dave. But when he's muddled and distorted for me, you know it's too much muddled, too much distorted. We want a clear signal to talk with the professor. There is concern tonight, and I have not had the opportunity to review what Donald Trump did during his press conference today. I have not had the opportunity. I am concerned about immigration. You know, in Detroit today, there was a huge demonstration regarding immigration. Apparently, the people on the left are slightly disturbed by the fact that Donald Trump gave an executive order requesting that individuals are withheld from entering our country from 7 specific countries. Iran is one of those. Iran, forgive me, is one of those. Syria, another. And there are others that were listed in the 7. But apparently, there was some word today about immigration, and I'm quite certain Dave can educate me on what was said during the press conference. That had something to do with the fact that he may have changed his opinion regarding immigration. Now, I want you all to know that really the #1 reason he was voted into office was economy. We went through 8 years in which a president did not have greater than 2% GDP growth, maybe 2.5 at the very highest. Never went above 3%. First president in the history of the United States of America never to have 3% GDP growth. So the #1 issue as to why Donald J. Trump was elected president of the United States, the 45th, was our economy. Our economy sucked. And how do we know that it sucked? Well, after the election, when the people, the Byzantine stock market analysts like Rachel Maddow and others off of MSNBC NBC and was telling everyone to sell, 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 and you heard on TECN, buy, buy, buy. Well, the stock market has gone up significantly. In fact, the paper wealth in America has grown to nearly $3 trillion since the election day. $3 trillion growth in wealth since election day on the stock market. Stock market has risen above 20,000. It's about to strike 21,000 probably within the next couple of weeks, if not next week. Why did all of that happen? Because taxes were too high. Obamacare was taking out too much money of people's wealth and condemning them to a life of slavery to the U.S. government. In addition to that, we didn't have great GDP growth. Our economy was shape-shifting into negativity and possible recession. And again, our national debt was out of control. And we had individuals who had not seen a pay raise above maybe 3% in doggone 6 years. We had a pitiful economic outlook, especially when we had growth like 115,000 jobs in the month of December. Wow, that is the heartbeat of the economy. Retail sales from Black Friday on, that's where nearly half of all the retail sales come from for most companies. And when you have reportings out that Amazon and others were struggling, okay? Macy's, struggling. You had to know that the economy was number one. But one of those things that infringes mostly on the economy that's sadly overlooked by those on the left is illegal immigration. And apparently, illegal immigration was also one of the things. It was like government being decreased so that there would be individual prosperity, the economy, that is, on one side, and on the other side was immigration. And now I don't know for certain because I just got in from an event and I had not been following it. Someone told me, Ken, you need to listen to the press conference because there's some stuff he's saying in that press conference. And I wish I had the opportunity to do so, but I did not. But I do want to know exactly what he said, because what I heard tonight on Mark Levin is that there might be a little backing out of his immigration proposal. Yes, the Donald may be backing out. Now, I don't know specifically. People in the chat room can tell me if that's true or not. But this is a man who has been known from the moment he's come into office that he is a keeper of his promises. And all of a sudden, I'm getting hearings here that he could be thinking of amnesty for a certain group that are here illegally. Now, I'm going to let you all know something. There are those who are running around this country saying, Dave says, Dave, no surrender Milner. There you go. The unpleasant blind guy better know. Mr. President, we are watching and looking for results. Thanks, Dave. I came into the conference about an hour and, well, tuned it in. There you go. Now, if I'm in error here, because I love and support Donald Trump. I really do. I like what he's doing with the economy. And I love the fact that from day one, he let it be known that we're going to build a wall. Doesn't have to be the Great Wall of the U.S. No, it doesn't have to be brick all the way. No, that's technology and things that you can use. But apparently, and I see LifeZet is concerned about, I know what it is now. It's the Department of Labor choice that he has, Alexander Acosta. So that's where all the fireworks are coming from tonight. It's the Labor Secretary nominee that he has, Alexander Acosta, who's President Donald Trump's replacement choice to run the Department of Labor, advocated for easier immigration and amnesty for people who previously had come to the United States illegally. Now that is why people are upset tonight. Thank you. There you go. Good evening, Willie Lawson. Willie Lawson Show. Best show you're not listening to. Okay? And you should be listening to it during the course of the day. 9:05 a.m. on the Exceptional Conservative Show Network. The Exceptional Conservative Network. Willie Lawson is just awesome. Really awesome. So I put in the chat room the LifeZette story. And apparently, regarding immigration, in LifeZette, which was reported earlier tonight, right before I came on, that there are major concerns with this particular choice. Apparently, Acosta, who served on the National Labor Relations Board, okay, that's a red flag for me, in the George W. Bush administration, expressed his views at a 2012 forum sponsored by the Hispanic Leadership Network Conference. He called for comprehensive immigration solutions and lamented the failure of previous legislative efforts. This is what he said. Part of that means figuring out what we do with all the individuals that are already in our nation. He said, we need them here. They provide construction jobs. No, they don't provide construction jobs. They work construction jobs. They don't provide them. All right. They provide agricultural jobs. No, they don't. Future Labor Secretary, maybe. They don't. They work them. They don't provide them. We need to figure out a way to address that. We need to figure out a way to then have a pathway to further future legal immigration. There is already a pathway, and I'm going to talk with you about that. I am highly irate this night. Y'all were upset about Betsy DeVos. I'm upset about this guy, who's a labor pick. Labor! He's supposed to be in charge of labor. What better way to create labor than to bring more illegals in? There you go. We need to figure out a way to then have a pathway to further future legal immigration. And if we don't take it all at once, we're not going to solve it. Because you can't solve part of it without solving the other part. Now, some of you are sitting back and saying, oh, well, that's not what he meant. I want you to understand, when someone tells you that they do not have, that America does not have a pathway to citizenship, they are bold-faced lying to you. Absolutely, positively lying to you. There is already, and I put it in the chat room, the PDF, you can take a look at it. There is a pathway to citizenship in this country. It does include you reading and speaking English. And so, and there's another story, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But can I know you all on the on your devices in terms of Red Nation Rising on the Liberty Channel at 2 a.m. in the morning where you're listening. You're going to have to go in a few moments. You're going to break off and listen to the news, and then there's going to be another network show that comes on for you on the Red Nation Rising. God bless you. I love you. But it's important for people to understand there is already a pathway to citizenship. It's the fact of the matter is that some people decided not to obey our laws and thus came into our country illegally, and they should go. I want you to understand that the pathway includes, and I put it in the chat room for everybody so that you can see for yourself that I'm not making this stuff up as I go along. The pathway to citizenship, ladies and gentlemen, includes, and hopefully, I want to put the labor pick thing in there because no wonder people are upset tonight in Washington. That's why everyone's upset. We elected Donald Trump because we thought he was serious, very, very serious about immigration. Now, I know a lot of people are don't say anything. Don't say anything against him. Oh, no. I understand that. Nobody wants to say anything against Donald Trump because they want him to be successful. They want him to make it happen, make us win, make us lead the way. But when you have a labor secretary who tells you that there is not a pathway to U.S. citizenship, I think if you're going to follow the Mike Flynn strategy, he should go. You need a new nominee. Here's the pathway to U.S. citizenship. I put the PDF file in there. You can find it at USCIS, Customs and Immigration Services for the U.S.gov, USCIS.gov. You can find it there. It's a PDF. It outlines strategically everything someone has to do to become a citizen of the United States of America. Number one, they have to be at least 18 years old at the time of filing the application of naturalization. Well, what about the kids, Ken? What about the kids? Go back from whence you came. But they're U.S. citizens. If they're U.S. citizens, they're U.S. citizens. Anyone else is illegal. So the first thing is at age 18, you have to file the application for naturalization. That's Form N-400. Number two, you have to be a lawfully admitted permanent resident of the United States. Lawfully. Lawfully. Something about the law says that you have to be here legally. Number three, at the time of filing the application, have been a permanent resident in the United States for at least 5 years. Or for at least 3 years if you meet all eligibility requirements to file as a spouse of a United States citizen. So here we go. 5 years. That means that woman who was here for 28 years, getting food stamps, welfare, and everything else, had at least 5 years of her life in the United States where she could have filed to become a permanent resident and chose not to. Why should I cry? Don't cry for me, Argentina. Why should I cry? Because she's got to go back home. But she paid taxes. You pay taxes if you fly into a place that you've never been before and buy something. Just because you pay taxes doesn't make you a U.S. citizen. Here's the next one. You have to have documented, you have demonstrated continuous permanent residence. Documented permanent residence. Okay, that means that you stayed in one place. You have demonstrated a physical presence. That means an address. No, you don't get the choice to make it up as you go along. Some of these things, this is a smorgasbord, buffet style citizenship test. No, all these things must happen. Have lived within the state or U.S. CIS district for at least 3 months prior to filing. You didn't just come here yesterday and say, yeah, I want to sign. No. You also have to demonstrate good moral character. Now, this is my problem with the left. They don't mind someone being in the United States who's murdered somebody, who's selling drugs, who's doing all about illegal things, and they certainly don't want INS to come in and arrest this particular person because they demonstrated poor moral character or immoral character. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're anywhere, hospitality says, treat my place the way you want it to be, the way I want it to be. Not the way you want it, the way I want it to be treated. Treat my home the way I want you to treat it. Treat my car the way I want you to treat it. And guess what? Treat my country the way I want you to treat it. You don't have the right to come into my country and sell drugs illicitly. You don't have the right to break the law by crossing that border without our permission. You don't have the right. There's no constitutional right. Look it up. So you have to demonstrate that you have good moral character. Then you also have to demonstrate an attachment to the principles and ideas of the U.S. Constitution. Can you? This book should be somewhere in your house. The Constitution, Senor, por favor, the Constitution of the United States of America. This book should be somewhere in your house. Okay? You should be able to go in there and read the Constitution and the Articles of Independence or Declaration of Independence. It's not one of those pop quiz things. You have to know what's in the Constitution. Wait a minute. What? Illegals have to know the law? Well, yeah. Why do they have to know the law? They have to know the law to know that they're here what? Illegally. And now here's a big kicker. Here's a big kicker. For those of you following along at home who are willing to get out there and march in Detroit in cold weather for the 28-year-old, the woman who's been here for 28 years and has to go home from when she came because she came here illegally and can't speak the language. What? Look at you, bigot. You're a bigot, Ken. You're a racist. You're a homophobe, Islamic phobic, anti-Zion, and another thing. Yeah, I know. Give me all the Uncle Tom. Start there. You have to demonstrate an ability to read, to write, to speak, and understand basic English. You should not have an interpreter standing next to you at the McDonald's so you can press the buttons. Yes, English. Why isn't English the official language of the United States of America? We tell people it is to come into our country. You got to know how to speak it. You have to know how to write it. You have to know what you're talking about. Because we speak English here. I know you watch a lot of Telemundo, but we speak English. Demonstrate a basic knowledge of U.S. history, government, and civic principles. I know Americans don't have to study that because they've been spoiled by the third world initiatives of the United Nations that basically says that America is the reason for all hurt, harm, and danger in the world, and we need to kill it. Kill it! Kill America! I know that's what is being taught, but you need to know real history, not just crap they're throwing up to you. You need to know the history of the United States of America, government and civic principles. You need to know that you cannot vote in federal elections just because you cross the border, wave the American flag. No, 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 no. And then finally, you have to take an oath of allegiance to the United States. If you're still saying Ali Akbar, you're not an American. You're not. And I know that's offensive to a lot of you. And quite frankly, I don't mind being offensive to you because you're not real. Not a real American. If you're still telling people that you hate America, then you need to go. You need to go back home. A fist in a fatus, a thesophobic, as President Trump might say, boring. Claudia, but there is such a thing as illegal alien. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as an illegal person. Yes! Okay. If a person rapes somebody, are they a rapist? Yes, they are. If a person lies, are they a liar? Yes, they are. If a person cheats, are they a cheater? Yes, they are. If a person crosses the American border, the U.S. border, without permission, what are they? Thank you. All right, so that's our lesson for tonight. So the bottom line is, Willie Lawson says, if you have come to the country illegally, that can no longer be tolerated. This is going to be a painful but necessary. You're right, Willie. That's why he's on our air at 9:05 a.m. Monday through Friday. He'll be on tomorrow morning. Hope he picks me up on this one. But I'm telling you right now, if illegal immigrant, okay, Claudia, we'll go with that. But he or she is still what? Here illegally. We'll go with that. It doesn't matter what you call it. If you might call a rapist a sexual deviant. Nevertheless, he committed a rape here illegally. You're illegal. You should not have rights to food stamps. You should not have rights to medical care. You should not. You're illegal. You're here illegally. And so that might be offensive to folk. But the bottom line is, it is what it is. And so I've given you the pathway to U.S. citizenship. So if you have someone who is telling you that there is no such thing as a pathway to U.S. citizenship, that we need a comprehensive plan to bring in people who have chosen not to obey the law, but to forcibly enter in and take all of the fruits of the labor.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Pushing machine.
Professor, welcome back to the program.
Yes, on the wall. So, was that a 40 commercial break, or did you just forget about me? I'm muscling in on my time now.
Now I'm muscling in your time because I need to tonight we're going to be talking about illegal immigration, and there is great concern in the Trump administration because of the labor secretary pick that they have, Mr. Acosta, who says that we need a comprehensive. He came up with a McCain-Graham proposal here. He needs a comprehensive.
Jeb Bush.
Yeah, Jeb. There you go. He came comprehensive.
He's a grandpa all of a sudden. I didn't realize this until today, but he's a grandpa.
Really? When did that happen?
Evidently, I listened to his press conference on Periscope today while I was doing the mail, and overall I liked it. But when he did that, I got pulled myself out of my own nostrils. Like, you got to be kidding me! Here we are, surrender already. We haven't even fired a shot. We're surrendered.
Exactly. I mean, come on. This was one of the major planks.
And it's not the first time. Yeah, Flynn, surrender. Labor Secretary, surrender. Now this, because a few Mexicans skipped work today, we're going to surrender. You know what? This, day without an immigrant, what they really meant was day without an illegal immigrant. But let me tell you what, I got to work 8 minutes faster today because all the illegals weren't on the highway. So I'm thinking, let's do this celebration 365 days a year.
Apparently, Donald Trump has not heard from his constituency. Because I believe that Donald Trump...
been able to hear me. I was yelling.
My thing is, wait a minute, because I'm listening to Mark Levin on the way in, and he's railing against it, and I don't know exactly what Mark Levin's talking about. All I know is something's gone wrong, and it happened during the press conference. And now you're signifying...
That's who you listen to instead of my show.
No, I was in the car. I couldn't listen to you. Oh, my goodness.
Not that I do my show.
I know.
No. But if I did my show, you wouldn't listen to it.
I would. I do listen to your show, and Mary has proof of it.
You're too busy not returning my calls.
That
takes time.
Can we be?
A lot of time.
Can we just be angry about illegal immigration?
Hey, this stuff goes downhill. After Megan yelled at me about everything, I'm just trying to find something to yell at everybody else about.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
now, this immigration thing, I don't understand, Kim. Really, I mean, what's the figure out here about the fact that if you're illegal, you don't belong, and if you want to be here, then do it legally. And why isn't all of the legal immigrants not out protesting and saying, you know what, here, I got a proposal for you. I'm going to make it right here. Let's propose that employers that hire legal aliens have to refund in their salary all the fees they pay to become citizens, and that they take that as a portion out of the salary of all the illegal aliens that they hold, and have them pay back all the legal aliens who did it right and followed the rules and pay. their fines, and thousands of dollars to become a citizen.
Exactly. And then I agree with you. And then we're getting word tonight that the Customs and Immigration Service is processing an average, processing an average of 1,034 DACA applications and renewals a day. 1,034, and
1,300 applications a day.
1,034 applications a day.
1,034. Okay.
Yeah,
So roughly 1,000 a day.
Exactly, 1,000.
7 days a week, or only the government days, not including holidays?
No, that's 7 days a week. 7 days a week.
When they take off, yeah, 7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days a week. So this means,
I mean, honestly, do they count all the days that they spend doing union work or going to inaugurations or?
Nah, they include those too. So we're looking. Yeah, we're looking at last week. 14,476 illegal immigrants have received amnesty during the Trump administration. 14,476
in amnesty.
Amnesty. They can come in. So why aren't Americans?
They don't even include the Syrians, Ken.
Exactly.
They've been smuggling in.
So why should I sit here? And this is what ticks me completely off. Forgive my French.
Which causes the beef industry to tremble.
They should this weekend. They should. This ticks me off to no extent. They elected Donald Trump to actually deal with immigration. And now...
That was one of the deals, wasn't it?
That was it. That was a big... I mean, besides the economy, and they're still working on a tax goal, they're still working on Obamacare, they're still working on those particular things. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll hear something on all of that. But nevertheless...
He's a national security president. That's what he ran on. That's what he calls himself. And there is no bigger issue. So I don't get how all of a sudden we're going to be kind and compassionate. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you.
You want to ask me something? Ready? There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question for a change. They say it's not compassionate that we're splitting up families because we're finding these illegals and we're kicking them out of our country and sending them home or putting them in jail for all the other crimes they commit by being illegal, like stealing Social Security numbers and screwing with other people's lives because, now their identity has been stolen. So, okay. They say we're splitting up families. So then I say that if we catch a criminal that's breaking into your home and stealing your stuff, but he's got kids, then I don't think it's very compassionate to put him in jail because we're splitting up families.
There you go.
So perhaps we should just wait. We need to refigure this, right? And save these people and not split up their families.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. Hold on, Jen.
Okay, sir.
Pull up my hair and everything.
It's that type of show tonight. I don't understand how any American can be happy right now with an administration that looks like it's backing out of everything that got it elected in the first place. Well, maybe not everything, but on immigration.
Well, enough.
On immigration, this is coming on the Flynn thing, and then you have Russia right off the shore, and there's no reaction. Come on!
Well, what are you going to do? All right. Okay, first off, here we got this. Done. We haven't seen any plans or proposals. All we've done is we've heard language out of Trump that suggests he's backing off. And we are so used to the Republicans sowing us out, so used to them surrendering, that's what we think Trump's doing. Now, it could be that Trump is just saying these things because he wants the press to understand that what he considers passionate may not be what they do. Because he said some people aren't going to be happy. He didn't say if that was going to be you and me or the press or the left or illegal aliens. But, so before I get too upset, I want to see what happens. But I do want them to know up there in Washington, and especially in the administration, that we are hacked off and we're ready if he backs off promises like this. He's kept a lot of them. He's kept more than most, but you know, I don't see why we need to sell out for this. Now, when it comes to the Russians, obviously, there are two countries that we have to be very, very careful with. And one is China, because they basically own us. And Russia, because they are a nuclear superpower. And if things escalate, then things can get ugly. Trump was absolutely right about what he said today about, you know, that it would be heinous to have a nuclear war. And being a cold warrior and doing all that nonsense, I concur. You have to deal with things differently. Now, on top of all that, there's another cute little thing, and that is what that Russian trawler, which is a big fishing boat, right, with nets and hooks and everything everywhere. But the funny thing is it's not. It's a communications collections platform, disguised as a trawler. I, in the Air Force, flew on a plane that was disguised as a refueling, a KC-135 refueling plane. We even had a boom on it and everything. It was a dummy. It had no gas in it. It couldn't lift anything, but it was a big old boom that, you know, if a Russian flew up beside us, he would see the boom on it and he would report that it was a configuration of a refueling aircraft. We did that as subterfuge. It didn't take very long for Russia to figure out that refueling planes don't typically have 5,000 antenna hanging off the bottom. So it didn't fool them long, but you know that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was for us not to admit to them how much we knew that they knew, that we knew that they knew, that they didn't know that we knew. You know?
Yeah.
And so that was the game back then. It's secrets and stuff. But we all knew each other's secrets. The real game was not letting them know how many of the secrets you actually knew were real and which ones were false, you know, and how it dictated policy, and then scopes and methods, which is a problem I have with these elites, is they are revealing scope and methods. And that is very dangerous. You can get people killed. It gets those in the intelligence community in a very bad way, which is in a big danger. Okay? But Russia is out in international waters, has every right to be in international waters, and they can do whatever they want. They can be naked and doing handstands, they can be listening to our radio shows and aiming antenna at the government house or whatever, because they're in international water. We do it. We have Navy planes that fly around, we have naval ships that do it, and we have Air Force planes. The RC-135 program does it. And so what Russia's doing is nothing that we don't do every single day. We don't do it like we did during the Cold War, or like when Reagan was in office. I mean, every day we had planes in the air, and we flew 12 to 15-hour missions, and there was always at least one plane in the air out of Okinawa flying around Asia somewhere. Sometimes we had two or three, and there was always one out of Offutt, and there was always one out of Alaska, and so, you know, we had planes in the air constantly doing what Russia's doing to us now. Here's the difference, is we did it out of strength, and Russia couldn't do too much back then because they just didn't have the money or the technology. Today, they have a lot of money because they export oil, and they screw up our markets, so they keep the oil prices high, so they make a lot of money. And so they can buy technology and stuff now that they didn't have. And they have an ex-KGB running the country who is, reminiscent of the Cold War too. So this is his parameter of thinking. This is what he's doing. He's doing what he did as a younger man, what the countries did to each other. There is no harm in this because there are rules, okay? We have rules, they have rules, and we follow them, and no one gets hurt. What the danger is when we have politicians get in there and they change the rules. They make it dangerous. And then an international incident can happen, and that can escalate, and you don't know what's going to happen. But the fact that they're out there listening, who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares? They're going to be doing it. You live in Washington, D.C. You been by the Russian embassy? All the antennas and stuff. And And every attic in there is just jammed full of antennas, and there's nothing but collection devices everywhere. And every embassy is like that, including Israel. So, you know, our staunchest ally, right? And they've got antenna pointed all over the place, listening for bureaucrats and minor officials that want to be important at the pubs, trying to pick up chicks by telling everybody their secrets so that they can get laid. And that's where the real danger is. It's not the fact that these people are listening to us. It's the fact that you have so many morons in our government with sensitive information that they shouldn't have access to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the game is, it's just what it is. It's a game of intelligence and collection. Everybody's doing it. And we didn't invent it, but we perfected it. And we made it amazing. Mm-hmm. And no one can touch what we can do. You know, like now, and this is, I'm talking about the 80s right now. We have all these satellites, Kilo and others that, you know, can read the brand on your cigarette, you know, while you're sitting there smoking, or not smoking as you claim. So we have all kinds of technology that does amazing things. But even then, that's not the important. ELINT is what that's called, electronic intelligence. Mm-hmm. Then you have SIGINT, which is signal intelligence. And then you have HUMINT, which is human intelligence. And HUMINT is the most important of the three. It's like hands down, most important. And that's where the Democrats have gutted this country. Because of their utter reliance on technology, they've gotten rid of humans. You remember the big debate that we didn't want human intelligence because we had to deal with derelicts and ne'er-do-wells, mm-hmm. and the criminal element, and that America shouldn't associate with criminals. Remember those debates? And all the Democrats around saying that America should be above all that?
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't get information from the goody two-shoes. You get them from the people who get their hands dirty and associate with the people who get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
And that's where you learn stuff. So, yeah, who cares if the trawler's out there? They're not going to hurt anybody. They're not going to shoot anybody. They're not going to run into anybody. So let them out there and listen. Whether they're listening to us on the radio or they're listening to, you know, Trump trying to spell out words while he's on Twitter, who cares?
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
I care. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I really do.
Yeah, but
this is my butt part, and I got a big one.
I know you did, which is why I spread it out. Talks.
But in the sense of weakness, thank you. We have spent 8 years with someone who has been leading from behind, someone who has not responded to the quirkiness of.
You're talking about the Caliph in chief?
Yeah. The Nubian king of the Mohammedan nations.
You are a racist.
Yes, I am. A big time big.
I can't believe you use the word king.
Listen, I want a strong military. And I understand the strategies of intelligence gathering. But I want to make certain that the entities that protect us are not put in hurt, harm, and danger, although it's their job to be.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen with these Russians. Honestly, if we want a strong military and good, you know, information stuff, then we need to build up our fleets and our intelligence and the platforms that provide electronic and SIGINT intelligence. But what this country is they don't get the training they need. They're not up there flying 15 missions, you know, every day. Now they fly 3 missions a week, and that is where harm. The Russians aren't harming us. They're in international waters. They have every legal right to be where they are.
They certainly do.
And we don't want to change that, by the way, because then we can't do it either. You know, because that's what we're doing. And so, again, who cares what they're doing? What we need to be worried about is what Trump said, is that's a rebuild and enlarge the military. And we need to spend the bulk of it, not buying new toys. We need to spend the bulk of it in outfitting our military and training them. Okay? So what we got to do is all these guys that are sitting there sewing up their flight suits and using their equipment until it just completely falls apart. That's what we need to replace. And we need to make sure all their guns are in order. They have plenty of ammunition to shoot. That they're at their gun range times a week if they're in the Army. Or the Marines, you know, that they're training with their weapon. And the Air Force, they need to be flying. And they need to put these pilots in the planes. And if we don't have enough planes, then we need to buy more planes. Because it doesn't do the Air Force any good to have all these pilots flying desks. And in the Navy, we need to build ships and stick them out on the water and let them sit out there for 6 months, because that's what Navy does. And let them do their job, training, doing it. Because you see, they build muscle memory in training, and they learn from their mistakes in training. And when the bad guys do something and the military has to step up, if they've gotten the training they need, then it's a piece of cake, and more of them are going to come home. And also, if we have the training we need, the rest of the world knows it. Mm-hmm. And they will respect our military. Peace-through strength, as Ronald Reagan said. I belonged to SAC, Strategic Air Command, for a while before we created the Electronic Security Command, which was one of the first special ops groups in the Air Force. But we didn't call it special ops back then, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I belonged to SAC, and SAC was, our profession is peace. That was our motto. Our profession is peace. Now, SAC was the guys, you know, from Dr. Strangelove with the B-52s, right? Yep. And all that. So our main mission in SAC was to be able to deliver bombs anywhere in the world and retaliate if Russia started anything. We had a nuclear response and a conventional response. And we were tied in with SAC for that, because our mission was more strategic and less tactical back then. And so we needed training, and we got training that you would not believe. Reagan made sure that if I scuffed my flight boots, I got a new pair. I didn't have to shine. Yep. Mm-hmm. It was a new pair. Now, that was kind of a waste of money. But if they took care of us like that, then we were able to focus on doing the crazy, dangerous jobs we do. And this is why I got 2 air medals, one from Ronald Reagan. Both were signed by Ronald Reagan. You know, I don't remember the write-ups anymore because it's been 25, 30 years, but, you know, something to the effect of going above and beyond the call of duty under extreme hazardous conditions, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's because what we did was very hazardous. Now, I flew on our C-135s, and we stayed in international airspace or over international waters, however you want to word it. Mm-hmm. We did not ever go into Russian airspace, but we were out there doing what that Russian trawler's doing. And it's provocative, okay? So the Russians would send MiGs after us to escort us away. Mm-hmm. And this is what the military needs to be doing with the Russian trawler. What we need to have is enough naval ships that we can go park a destroyer next to it, you know, right in front of it, or a carrier, so it can't even look at the coastline. I guess there's a big estimate.
See, but that's what I'm saying.
Or send a couple of PT-109s out.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's the response.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but there's no response. And so what Dave and I are saying, Dave in the chat roll at the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat roll, and I are saying is how is this any different than with Obama? Really? I mean, personally, I would have.
Well, Obama did nothing. I mean, we enabled people at gunpoint by the Iranians, and he gives them $1 billion. You know, we should have just blown Iran off the map. But, you know, I've been over that before. But, you know, you kidnap our sailors, and then you put guns in their faces, and put them on TV. None of those Iranians should have ever seen the light of day.
Never.
They should have been taken out by snipers, and everyone would be killed, and then we should have taken out the entire government. Mm-hmm. And then people wouldn't do that to America anymore. But, you know, Obama is a Muslim with dreams of being the Caliph. And so he wouldn't do anything to his Muslim brotherhood. But this guy, I think, is different. Trump is different. But he's only been in office 3 or 4 weeks. And you have to be careful on how you respond to this stuff. I mean, it really is, because it's very sensitive. You know, I caused an international incident. We had one little porthole window in that plane, very back, and we had some MiGs escorting us, and I pulled my flight suit off and stuck my naked buttocks in that window. we called it pressed hand. And so I gave the Russians some pressed hand. He pulled his little blue flight suit off. They put it on automatic pilot, and he pulled his flight suit off, blue one that they wore. We always thought those were meatloaf. And then he pushed his buttocks up against his windshield to return the favor. And I can promise you that when he landed, he got read the riot act just like I did.
Mm-hmm.
We landed. The squadron commander was there. His boss was there. His JAG was there. I was kindly escorted into a debriefing room where I spent about 12 hours being debriefed over the fact that I damn near caused an international incident that could have led to war. So things can get out of hand fast, right?
Yeah, it can.
Because what happened was that guy gave me fast hand back, and then his partner got mad and flew underneath our belly and then did a jackrabbit right above our nose.
Wow.
So, then he hit the ABs, afterburners, and flew right up, and the turbulence rocked the plane really bad, and it could have gone bad very quickly.
Yeah.
And escalated. So, you got to have cool heads when it comes to this stuff. And right now, there's nothing that's being done that needs a armed military response, just the fact that we just need to show up and say, we're here, we know what you're doing, and we're going to watch it. And then it's no fun, and they go away, just like we did. When they sent up the MiGs, we really weren't that worried they were going to shoot us back. Always that chance, you never knew. Mm-hmm. And, the way tensions and stuff were going, it got really tense in those planes. But what we did is we kindly took the hint, and they did it. We didn't stick around and provoke them. We left. And if we do that to this Russian trawler, it'll leave, because that's the rules. That's how gentlemen spies work. We call that tradecraft in the business. And the tradecraft is when you're caught, that's one thing. But when they're sitting right beside you, it just becomes no fun, and you leave. You go somewhere else. You do something else. Or you go over the horizon, wait a little bit, and come back, see if they're still there.
Exactly.
Whatever. But that's all we need to do. There's nothing more. It's not an international incident. We don't have to, bring in the ambassadors and read them the riot act. How dare they, do what we're doing to them? It's just
exactly.
But the media is sensationalizing, and a lot of people in the talk shows that don't have any understanding of what's really going on, and nor should they. I'm not faulting everybody that's talking about this because they don't know what's going on. If there's a talk show host at all that knows what's going on, it's going to be infinitesimally rare, and it just happens to be that I'm one of those.
Exactly. You know it.
It's no big deal.
You know it. That's why you're on New Day Black and Red program on Thursday nights at 10:05 p.m. on the TECN, the Exceptional Conservative Network, that gives you a spiritual as well as a constitutional viewpoint.
Which is not short for TECN.
Nope, not yet. But listen, this is where we come from on this. After 8 years of being seen as a weak poodle that's wet and virtually defenseless, even though we are a tremendous military power, I want to see an escort. I want to see that destroyer. I want to see a sub nearby. That's what I want to see. That
that would be delicious for them to be sitting there in that trawler and one of them tosses a cigarette over the side and realizes there's an SSBN underneath it.
Thank you.
And like, what? They would leave them, and they wouldn't be able to go anywhere. They weren't going to be followed, and they would know it. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's time for a non-aggressive response, just a passive show up and be here. And that's the problem, is Obama and the Democrats have made us like redheaded stepchildren of the world, and we have not had an appropriate response in so long that everybody's challenging us. And this is what's going on with Trump. Trump was asked if he thought Russia was challenging. Hell yes, they're challenging. They're challenging our country.
Yes!
Trump specifically. But it being changed, no one knows what they're doing, and we have been anemic so long with our responses, our downgrading of the military. And what have we focused on? In the military, we have focused on transgender problems and on homosexual problems, and feeding the world as one ginormous Mills on Wheels with guns. And that's not the proper role of the military or its functions. And so you have every right to be upset and worried, but it's not at what the Russians are doing. It's at the lack of what we're doing that should be our concern.
Exactly, and that is my concern. I am tired of the leading from behind. I am ready for a cleansing of the left in office. I am sincerely upset by the fact that there wasn't an escort of this particular trial.
Well, at $300 an hour, it's a very expensive proposition.
Well, that's okay. It's okay. I'd rather spend $300 escorting Russia out of our area.
Oh, I thought you said getting them an escort.
Yeah. They're listening to.
No, honestly, Ken, to make the joke, I went there, but you got to think about this. A typical Air Force plane costs thousands of dollars a flight out, not a real out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Air Force One, I think the figure's like $10,000 an hour to operate Air Force One. But a military plane is anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 an hour for operation, depending on what it is, what its mission is, burning the fuel, all the people's salaries and training and equipment and breakdown and maintenance and parts and all that. Somewhere somebody figures out this thing. Like James or somebody figures out what the cost per hour is to fly these things. And if you go to James Defense magazine, you can find these things like on RCs and stuff. And go look up the RC-135. It's in there now. Back when we were doing it, they didn't have any information on us because we were highly secret back then. But to send a plane out, it would be cost prohibitive to respond to the subs. Like an F-16 or something that would just cost thousands of dollars. And to send a ship out, a naval ship, would also cost $1,000. Because you think about it, if you send out, a cruiser that's got 300 to 3,000 people, I don't know how many, because I'm just not very knowledgeable of the Navy, so I'm out of my element here. But you got to think that every sea hour that ship is out is costing tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. Now I don't have a problem with that because that is a proper expense under the Constitution.
Exactly.
But Obama has rather spent that money on welfare for people to vote for the Democrats than on the military, and so we have a dilapidated military. And if you go and you look at the defense readiness statistics that just came out last week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks ago, about 25% of all the planes in the Air Force are combat ready. Only a quarter. And about a third of our ships are combat ready. And so across the board, we have, I don't know how many battalions, but I think they said we can fill just a handful of battalions of soldierry right now. Because so many of these battalions aren't combat ready. They don't have the training, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the people. And so we have all of these hot spots all around the world. We're tied up in war in the Middle East. And now we've got Russia sticking their finger in our eye. And quite honestly, we may not be able to respond properly without exposing weaknesses in our military combat readiness. And so that may be a deciding factor and on what's going on and what we can do and how we're going to respond to it.
Professor, I got to ask you this.
Yes.
At one time, we were prepared to fight on at least 3 to 4 theaters of war around the world.
Well, the rule of thumb was 2.5.
2.5, okay.
In the 80s, Reagan built it up so that we could have we based this on the idea you always fight your last war.
Yeah.
When you go to your next one. And then you have to throw everything out because you're not ready for whatever it is that you've got now. But what we realized is that we had to have a theater of war in Europe and one in Asia. And so what we wanted to do was be able to project power towards whatever political will our government wanted that required a military answer. So what we did was we said, okay, we're going to have a big enough Navy, Air Force, etc., to be able to respond to Asia and Europe at the same time. Because that's where the Soviet Union was and China, and that's why we had to have this kind of a philosophy. And so that's what we did. Plus, we thought, well, what happens if we have something else small that breaks out, like down in Australia or the Africas or Middle East or something? So that's where the half comes in, so that we could also do more than just have two main theaters. But we've been gutted to the point where right now, very honestly, I don't think we could maintain one major theater. Right now, we're fighting at a capacity of which is the Middle East. And that is straining a lot of our resources right now.
Yeah.
That's how badly the Democrats have gutted our defense to make us weak, because it seems to be a Democrat thing. And I know people say, oh, professors picking on Democrats and progressives again, but they seem to be offended by the concept that America is the world's only superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be offended by the military strength and might and our ability to project power to the point where everybody else is subservient to us. Failing to understand that if we were like the Soviet Union or Germany, then following post-World War II, the entire planet would be speaking English and everybody would be using the U.S. dollar. Because we had nuclear power, no one else did, and we enforced our will on the entire planet and made everybody Americans.
Exactly.
But we're not like that as a people. And so the fact that we are the only country on the face of this planet, I think, that's trustworthy. You know, the Canadians, you can't give them this kind of power. Damn nice to be running around in their ships, you know, painting people's, you know, cities and picking up their trash and saying, excuse me.
Exactly.
And the British, you know, you can't trust them. I love my British friend. What happened the last time they were a naval superpower? Yeah, they took over the world. The sun never set on them. So we know you can't trust the British. And I mean, who else? The Germans? No. The Japs? No. I mean, the Australians? But a country full of criminals. So, you know, who knows what they would do if you gave them the keys to Daddy's cruisers or cruise missiles. So, yeah, I would say, arguably, that America is the only country that you can trust, and you can't even trust us all the time.
Well,
because, you know, half the time we've got the wrong people in that.
Exactly.
But yeah, we need to train, we need to build the military, we need to build a wall, and we need the president's going to keep his promise that he's going to have national security at heart, because what is the role of our government? You know what kind of government we have. It's a constitutionally federated republic, and its role is very, very specific. Our founding fathers created and framers of the Constitution created a government whose job was to protect our rights and our life and our property. So life, property, and rights are what this government is supposed to do. And it can't do that if we have porous borders and criminals and drug cartels and terrorists coming over every square inch of the border. And we can't protect people's property if we allow all these criminal elements into our country, and illegal aliens are stealing our private property, our personal property, our intellectual property by stealing our identity, etc. And they're taking away our purchasing power too. I mean, we could go on about just this, about what it costs America. But they're talking about how we can't afford not to have them, and I'm thinking every argument they can present, I can give them 10 for why it costs us more to have them than it would to get rid of them.
I think
But
that
the goal of the country is to protect us.
I think that we need to institute once again the serious intelligence collecting flights from Florida, from Maryland, from California, Texas, and in Alaska. And when we have a troller, that we find a way to escort them to their original place of harbor, because
See, the problem is you can't do too much while they're in international waters.
Yeah,
it's legal right to do that, and the law of the sea is a very old law.
Yeah,
and you got to be careful about pushing that, because honestly, we don't want them to be doing it back to us.
I understand,
and that's and then you places like if you go up these straits, like up there in Iran and stuff, and you get in there, then there is no real international water, because they claim 12 miles, we recognize 3. And some of those places aren't even 3 miles apart. So you can, you know, it's too congested.
But
So
we
there's a problem with
but
it.
we concur that it's time for America to show strength. And while I might be an extremist, and not that I would be pressing the red button right about here asking for nuclear codes, but nonetheless, it's time.
Is that the nuclear button or the reset button Hillary wanted to use?
Reset, of course.
Yes, okay. Well, then that's all right.
I don't even think it was Russian. I think she had it done in Spanish.
No, it was actually it was with the Russians. She was talking about using the big reset button.
Yeah.
To reset our relationships. Because you know how terrible it had got.
Exactly, but she used the wrong. She used the wrong word for reset.
Right.
Yeah.
In the Russian word, she screwed that up.
Yeah.
Just like George Bush did when he was talking to the Japanese, and he called them the watermelon of the vine instead of the salt of the earth. And of course, the watermelon is a big leech; it sucks all the nutrients out, and salt is a preservative. And you know, and depending on the language, like in Japanese, it's a compliment versus a insult. And of course, he used the wrong one. Oh no, that was Jimmy Carter did that. Jeb Bush is the one who ate the tamale with the wrapping on it. Or George Bush, one of those.
It's like, good. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a quick break. You have tonight a wonderful, wonderful man of great wisdom. None other than the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, the undergroundprofessor.us. When we come back, I want to return to our conversation regarding national security. And when did immigration no longer be an active part of that? I know some people are going to say, Ken, how can you be so tough on Donald Trump? He's just there for 3 weeks. He doesn't even have a full complement of cabinet officials, but I'm slightly concerned. We'll be right back with more of the best right after. You're listening to TECN live from Washington, D.C. and Dallas-Fort Worth. You're listening to none other than New Day, Black and Red. We'll be back right after this.
I'm reading commercials.
It's a coming.
Hi, it's your business leader here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy, because the truth is not always pleasant.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian. Because it's our story, too.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who save $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to LendingTree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
Oh, you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Someone is sleeping on the couch tonight.
Thank you for the turkey in the call. And I really enjoy ICRN, your station, the station I listen to all day.
Okay, thanks, Dominique, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to New Day Black and Red, live from Washington, D.C. Dominique!
I thought we went to Vegas, stayed in Vegas.
Apparently, lustful Dominique was busting loose and busting out of Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, we'll be back at Freedom Fest this year in the middle of July, and we will be broadcasting live.
Yes, we will.
The professor will be there with me, as well as Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, BZ will be there. I hear Melanie Collette will be there. Please. Yeah, I know. Please restrain yourselves. Don't knock over.
What stays in Vegas?
That's right. It's not your fault.
It's not fair, really, because I can't turn this off.
I know. I know. It's she'll be climbing all over you. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to... I'm going to pay a heavy price for that one. I want to read to you. I want to read to you a letter that I received. Is that Winston?
Gonna murder you. Go ahead. No, don't mind me. I'm gonna put all of you on the barbecue if you don't get out of my bed right now.
Poor Winston just
looking at me.
Winston just wants his 15 minutes of fame, and the professor keeps him from getting them. It's sad.
Actually, Winston's the only one that left. Everybody's staring at me, and like, go ahead and make my day.
Winston is the best kissing up dog ever. The best.
Yeah, well, he's pretty good at Frenching me live on Periscope when I'm not looking. You hear about that? Yeah, I was sitting there talking, and I looked down at him, and he just and he stuck his tongue in my mouth.
There you go. Get it when you can, man. Get it when you can. This is from Cooper Legal.
One-eyed homosexual dog.
You know you like it. Cooper Legal Consulting Law and Strategy sent this cease and desist demand letter February 16, 2017 via certified mail 7009-096000007282-6167. Return receipt requested in email Republican National Committee, care of David E. Weslow, Esquire, Wiley Rain, LLP, 1776 K Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20006, 2304. And you can get in contact with D. Weslow at WileyRain.com. It's regarding Black Republican Trump.
That's where all the lobbyists are at.
Yeah. You spoke about Russian prostitutes. Here's someone who's a little bit better.
But not cheaper.
Not cheaper. It's certainly more expensive. And aren't willing to do everything. Regarding the Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon, dear Republican National Committee, this is just for you all who are planning on going to Gloucester this week. You may not be able to. Dear Republican National Committee, I am intellectual property counsel to Raynard Jackson. As you are aware, Mr. Jackson adopted and has used the trademark, and let me put this in the chat roll for everybody to share. Please share it, everyone. You're going to be very happy behind that. Actually, I need to save that before I share that, but too late.
Can you say special?
Can you say very special?
Special trademark.
And has used the trademark Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon for the past 4 years. It has established substantial goodwill in this mark. More specifically, Mr. Jackson has used the Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon trademark since at least as early as March 1, 2013 for his annual awards program honoring and recognizing Black Republicans who have made significant contributions throughout the United States in the African American community. He should have also included Negro, Black, and Colored. But I digress.
Wasn't this a controversy last year, too? Something about the...
Yep. Yep.
And not being able to use his own stuff?
Exactly. But there's a cease and desist order. And during these past 4 years, Mr. Jackson has expended significant time, money, and effort to establish public recognition of his mark as identifying it as the source of this annual awards program. Mr. Jackson has used the trademark in advertising and promoting this program throughout the United States. As a result of these efforts, Mr. Jackson has established substantial consumer recognition of the Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon, trademark, and goodwill, and has become one of the most valuable assets and recognized achievements. Your unauthorized use of the Black Republican Trailblazers Award luncheon used in connection with the promotion of your awards program has created confusion among the public as to the source, sponsorship, affiliation, and or endorsement, which is in violation of the Lanham Act and common law principles of trademark infringement and unfair competition. Accordingly, we demand that the Republican National Committee immediately cease all unauthorized use of the Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon mark and any other names and or designations that are confusingly similar to Mr. Jackson's trademark. Mr. Jackson hopes that you will take note of the contents of this letter and recognize his willingness to resolve this matter on this basis. Your written assurances related to the request made herein must be provided no later than Wednesday, March the 1st, 2017. Any response other than one indicating complete compliance with this request will impel Mr. Jackson to vigorously pursue legal action to protect his legitimate business asset and seek redress for your continued infringing conduct. Nothing herein is intended to constitute or shall be construed as a waiver of any of Mr. Jackson's rights or remedies at law or equity, all of which are hereby expressly reserved. Should you have any questions or wish to discuss this matter, please contact me at 202-642-5470 or via email at dayna@dayna.cooperlaw, COOPERLAW.com. Thank you in advance for your attention and anticipated cooperation. Very truly yours, Dana C. Cooper, Esquire. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. A cease and desist order has been put on the GOP, Republican National Committee. You cannot use Black Republican Trailblazer Awards luncheon. Wow. Good job. Good job. We're back. And
so what's the end result? Did Raynard get to keep it, or?
Yeah, it's his. It's his. And
okay, so they tried to take it from him, right, and not let him be part of it, if I remember right.
You are absolutely correct. And as a result of this cease and desist order, they cannot use Black Republican Trailblazers Awards luncheon for the upcoming event in Gloucester, Virginia. They cannot do that. Can't do it. Just not prudent. Not prudent at all. So, congratulations to Raynard Jackson. We wish him the very best. In terms of this particular matter. And I'm encouraging everyone to support Raynard Jackson as quickly as you possibly can. If you would, get this message out around the world. The cease and desist order has come down. They can no longer use that particular title. Not at all. Just not prudent. So
good.
That was very lengthy, but it was important.
Yeah. I'm glad too. I mean, it wasn't right what they were doing.
No, it isn't right, and it's not. I must say this right here: it's not right that you Black Republicans are running around siding with the GOP, and you don't know exactly what's going on either. So I'm going to tell you all need to step up off of your ignorance. You need to educate yourself on exactly what's happening. he has a intellectual property protected by the Constitution. It is a constitutional right to protect your intellectual property. And if anything, black Republicans should be assigning themselves with Raynard Jackson simply for the case of constitutional law. It is his property, and no man or other entity should take advantage of it or excel themselves against it.
Yeah.
So there.
I know that's right.
I said that. No, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did.
Well, maybe I will. Wait, what? I want you to know I got this heart. It's got like 70 pieces of chocolate in it from Megan.
Ooh.
Yeah. She went all out. Other than the fact that I can do nothing right, but she, yeah. I don't know. I don't understand women at all. But I brought the computer back, by the way, and I thought, oh, great. You didn't call me back, and now I don't mind her being on because she's running around with her computer dancing, saying she's got the best boyfriend in the world. So go figure. I went from idiot to great as only I can do.
Listen.
So, talk about now.
I want to ask you about one other thing, and that's sanctuary states. Apparently, there's a rush for the front door for states to, like Washington and California. Even Oregon has talked about it, about becoming sanctuary states. And so I wanted your comments regarding sanctuary states before we did a short biblical speak.
Well, they're unconstitutional, for one thing.
Yeah.
You know, the supremacy clause that the Democrats are always running around touting states that they can't do that. And the 14th Amendment also prevents them from doing that. But there is other things in fact here. But what? I don't think we should discourage it. For one thing, I think we ought to move the seat of the government somewhere else. And that I'll be moved out to like not Nellis, but out there, you know, in the middle of nowhere, not Vegas, but out of somewhere. You know, we got a lot of land at the bottom. We own most of it as a central government, and I think we ought to relocate the central government and get it out of Washington D.C.
I agree.
Get a real federal city, build a new one, and then let the people of Washington D.C. vote for statehood and become a state. But they can't do it until the government's been moved.
Now, where would be a good place?
I think that we should.
Where would be a good place? Would it be Texas?
No, because I don't want all those politicians down here. But you know, you got a lot of open land in Wyoming and in Nevada that the government owns. But I think to put it somewhere miserable, you know, like the worst possible place, like, you know, somewhere up in like Fargo, North Dakota, or someplace in Michigan that, you know, gets snow in July, and make it one of the worst, you know, abject places on the face of the planet, or out in the middle of the desert, you know, and only put one water fountain in the entire city. You know, whatever we do, it needs to be the harshest environment. Make it. And think about this, old professor, right? But they took some of the worst land in the continent that they knew of and made the federal city there. It was nothing but swampland and malaria, and it was miserable. And they thought people were going to have to really want to be here, to be here, and that most of them won't want to be there, and they'll spend a lot of the time away to avoid malaria and stuff. So that's kind of the thinking in there. Make no mistake, you probably won't find it in any textbooks, but you know they had to be sitting there thinking, yeah, we'll make it here because no one will want to be here, and then that would protect us, you know, because if they're not in Washington, they can't screw with us. And so, you know, the people had to be there. And so I say that's what we relocate the city in either where it's 100 degrees in the middle of, you know, February, or it's snowing in July, one of those two places, and move it, and then let Washington D.C. do what it wants. But I also think that we should promote heavily the idea of California being a sanctuary state and seceding from the Union. And here's my thinking on this. For one thing, who cares if they're in the Union or not? They're you know, they don't produce money. They are a net tax user, not creator. The only people make any money in California are Disney and Hollywood. So, you know, the rest of it is just a bunch of migrant workers and poor. And so we wouldn't lose anything, really. We'd get rid of Hollywood out of our country, so we wouldn't have to worry about them bitching about American politics anymore, or threatening to leave, or whine, or come up with stupid songs at every election. So we get that problem fixed.
Yep.
And we would also eliminate the popular vote problem for the Republican Party. By removing California, two things would happen. One, that completely dense population of Democrats would be gone, and so they would no longer be, be able to say, well, Hillary won the popular vote, because they wouldn't have those votes. And two, all those electoral delegates that we have to come up with, 63 or whatever it is every year, that we have to fight from California, would no longer be a factor. In fact, Texas would have the lion's share of it, because it would have the most electoral delegates. And then Texas, which gets so much right politically in this country, would be the state of record for choosing the president. And it wouldn't be New York and California. And so I see this as a win-win everywhere around. There's just no bad thing that I can come up with of losing California as a secession. And then in about 10, California back 10 cents on the dollar, because it would be an abject failure. As everybody goes on welfare and no one works, then how would they do that? They couldn't be able to pay for anything, because they wouldn't have enough Republicans in their state that would still be willing to go work and pay all the taxes. And so, the Republicans would leave, and they would be inundated with nothing but Democrats on the public dole, and they would collapse, and then we'd buy it back.
See, I like that plan. I really do.
If we were willing to buy it back.
Yeah, I like that plan.
But sanctuary cities are illegal, and our governor here in Texas is taking care of sanctuary cities. Trump has said he's going to also cut off federal funds, and our governor's cut off state funds. Of all places, the city of Austin, which is our capital, Travis County, is a sanctuary county, and he's cut off state funds to it. The seat of the government. And so he's being serious about this. And we're going after sanctuary cities in Texas because they violate Texas Constitution, they violate Texas statutory law, and they violate the United States Constitution, and they violate central government law, or federal law, as we usually call it. And there's no export. What I don't understand here, Ken, is this. We have these judges on the left and these politicians on the left who tell us that they want sanctuary cities, and that the very nature of it is that they are not going to comply with federal law or state law when it comes to illegal aliens. But these are the same people who think they're important enough that we're going to follow all the laws they pass or the judgments that they hand down. And I'm thinking, if you think you're going to run a sanctuary city and violate the constitutions, what makes you think we're going to pay attention to any of your other stupid laws? Why can't we speed? Why can't we run red lights? Why can't we take money or go into a Walmart and pick up a TV and walk out with it? What's the difference of going into your house and me taking your TV than to have an illegal alien in our country on the public dole?
I agree.
Texas is leading the way on this. In Fort Worth, where I live, we just sent a woman to jail for 10 years because she screwed up on her change of address cards, and we discovered she's been voting in the last several elections in multiple places. She's been voting in Dallas and Fort Worth and other places, Tarrant County and others, illegally. And then she claims that it's our fault because she should have known better if we had. It was illegal. So anyway, she's going to jail for 10 years because we're Texas.
Wow. And of course, voter fraud doesn't happen. It's imaginary.
No.
That doesn't happen.
It's all, if it happens, it's Republicans doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I want to just do this very quick Bible study with you. It's going to be very quick, and it has everything to do with immigration. I want to take you to Exodus 22, verse 21. And we use the Blue Letter Bible every Sunday morning.
Biggest immigration ever.
Yeah. And yeah, that was a serious immigration problem back in Exodus.
That's right. And they were illegal too, by the way.
Yes, they
didn't have passports or visas.
Exactly. They overstayed their visit. They were only supposed to be there 13 years, and they overstayed their visit.
Oops, no one told us.
No one told us. But in Exodus 22:21, it is written, "Ye shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt." The King James version of that says, "Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt." I want to focus on the whole concept of vex for just one moment, because a lot of people take this out of context to justify sanctuary cities and individuals coming into our country illegally, and that somehow we're supposed to. That's okay. That somehow that we're supposed to support that behavior, and the truth of the matter is that is the wrong mentality. When you look at vexing, knowing that the Middle East is the cradle for hospitality, there was an expectation that you were to be hospitable to your neighbor, whether you knew him or not, whether he was friend or stranger, and it would be a abomination for you to be discourteous to someone who was visiting your land or visiting your home. And so when you look at that particular term...
That meant give them a meal and a glass of water. It didn't mean put them on welfare.
Exactly. Exactly. You're supposed to be kind to them. This is the...
Psalms H 32:38. Yana. Yana.
That term, yana, means to oppress, suppress, treat violently, maltreat, vex, or do wrong. Your objective as someone who is visiting your nation or visiting your home was to be as hospitable to them as possible, not to extend to them some unheard of constitutional rights or scriptural preference of citizenship, but merely to treat them with the greatest respect, love, and admiration you could, to make sure that their needs were taken care of in terms of a good meal, a nice place to rest, and then they were supposed to sojourn on, keep going, make thy way plain before you, keep going. And so many of us have been given that particular scripture to justify sanctuary cities and other malfeasance in terms of immigration. And the truth of the matter is, God makes it very clear to us, treat people the way you want to be treated, but certainly there is no constitutional right to that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this evening of New Day Black and Red. The Underground Professor, Dr. Michael Jones, so glad to have you hosting this particular network show. And I am your peon-in-chief, Ken McClinton. Want you to remember, if you forget anything we said tonight, this one thing. God has blessed America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll be back next week. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Professor.
Hey, my pleasure. And I promise next week I'll be back.
You always are great. You're always great. Take care. Good night.